Oh my god, I wonder what this one did. Oh no, it's in.
It's the attendance form.
Oh, is that the attendance one?
Oh no.
Wait.
Oh
What?
wait. No.
Oh Alright, we'll get started shortly. Could everyone please take a seat? Alright, we'll get started now. Welcome everyone to ELSOC's Industrial Training Night for 2025. I'm Ashi and this is Connie and we'll be your host for tonight. To begin with, could everyone please scan the QR code here? It's just an attendance form.
Alright, has everyone done it? Yeah, okay. So we'll begin now. So tonight we will be bringing in 5 speakers to talk about their experiences in industrial training. The process of finding industrial training can be confusing, so we hope that these talented individuals can help shed some light on getting an internship.
So we'll begin with a breakdown of the industrial training process with Eliza from UNSW IT, and we've also got a few experienced speakers as well, with whom we'll do a few rounds of Q&A with.
So please give a warm welcome to Eliza first, and then we'll go to the student speakers.
Thank you. So before I begin, I would like to acknowledge all the Gadigal and Bedigal people of this land, and also I would like to pay my respects to both the past and the present, and extend that respect to all of the Aboriginals and Torres Strait Islanders that are here with us today. And so before we begin for this ELSOC IT night, so we usually have it every year. So we collaborate with ELSOC so that we can have students who have done placements to come and then share their experiences, because we know that sometimes finding placements is challenging, but hearing the testimonials from your friends, from your peers, would be very encouraging. So I hope that we will achieve that today with all these lovely people that would be speaking. So yep, before we hear from them, let's talk about industrial training. So what is industrial training? Just for context, I know you've heard it many times, but we would like to reinforce this knowledge to you. So industrial training is a program requirement from Engineers Australia. You have to do 60 days of placement. It should be relevant to your major, and also you should be supervised by a qualified engineer. If you are being paid, you shouldn't be paid less than the minimum requirement from Fair Work, because it is your right and you're bringing value to the company. So yeah, we're ensuring that you are treated fairly by the companies. Okay, and we have background music for today. Thank you for that. Okay, next slide, please. So who needs to do industrial training? So everyone who's enrolled for engineering honors and also material science and engineering, they also have to do, although they're under science, but since they're a hybrid engineering, they also do industrial training. So for context, who's doing Bachelor's of Engineering honors, undergraduate? Okay, so most of you. Anyone doing 8621 who happen to be here? Okay, so the context 8621? No. Hoping in the future 8621. But we'll see. You just finish your undergraduate first. Okay. So what we have in the group right now are all undergraduates, which is quite appropriate as well. A few weeks ago, I think, last month or the other month, Steve, the postgraduate, had a similar event like this, so they also invited people to speak and share about their experiences. Okay, so we'll hear more about the experiences of undergraduate how students, how they got their placements. Next slide, please. So, yep, this is an ideal timeline. Of course, everyone's unique, everyone's different, everyone's situation might not fit into this timeline. But what we hope that you would do for your industrial training is when you're in your first year, you prepare. Of course, we do have, if you've been in our SharePoint site or our student portal, you will see that there are stages. Stage 1 is prepare. If you haven't found a placement yet, there's what we call a non-traditional placement. That could be a starter for you or other opportunities that we post there if companies contact us and post some opportunities. So year 1 is to prepare. You can start applying sometime year 2, year 3, and hopefully you finish your placement and do every requirement for industrial training before you graduate. Because industrial training is a program requirement, you cannot graduate until you finish this. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, just reminding you, I know it's challenging to find placements, and we will hear more about how challenging it is from our speakers. But I want you to feel confident that you are actually part of a globally competitive university, and where we have all these rankings, all these accolades that would help you to land the job. We've heard from employers, sometimes employers would only prefer UNSW students for their recruitment. So yeah, be confident that you will find those placements that are appropriate for you, as long as you also do your due diligence. You can't just wait for the apple to fall down, but you also have to do your part. So, and aside from that, one of the things that makes UNSW stand out is we have 60 days of industrial training. So we make you employer ready. So you are work ready after you graduate from the university, because you've done that 60 days. And we hear also from some of our companies, it becomes a pipeline, industrial training becomes a pipeline for recruitment. And some of those students who does industrial training are also absorbed as employees later on. Okay, next. And how you do your industrial training. You don't have to do your industrial training in one go, 60 days in one company. Of course, you can also, as much as they try to evaluate you, you also have the right to test if you want the company or not. So you can do up to 3 placements. So that would be totaled 60 days. So you can do 3 traditional placements, maybe 3 host organizations, but you can also do a mix. So non-traditional placements are placements here in the university, opportunities that you can do. So you can have a variety of experiences for industrial training to back you up. Next, please. Yep, and that would be a total of 60 days. And finding placements, if you go to our SharePoint site, we do have some information that can help you on how to find placements. For example, we have UNSW Connect. As I've mentioned, some of the recruiters, they target UNSW students. So companies come to us and they want to advertise those positions that are for UNSW students. So UNSW Connect is that job board. And also the other job boards that are common. If you come to our workshop, we teach you also how to use LinkedIn to be able to connect to people, so that you can get those experiences that you like. For example, there's a company that you like and how you would be able to put your foot in the door. LinkedIn is a good way to do that. And we do have workshops every term. We do 3 workshops. And the 3rd workshop we do is how to find great IT. And it is explained how you can use LinkedIn as a tool to find a great placement. Okay, next. So this is not an exhaustive list or representation of the companies that accept electrical engineering students, but just a representative. So we have all these companies who've taken students which are paid placements. So we want to highlight that your contribution to the company is actually valuable to them, and that's why they're willing to pay you. So yep. if you have companies that you think you're interested in, some of them you can look into on how they do their applications and processes, and maybe some of here any company that you've worked. So okay, we have representative from Telstra. Networking is very important, so maybe come to her later, have a chat with her. Any other companies? Ausgrid. So we have Ausgrid. Any other companies? Not here. Yeah. So if it's not here, that means that hopefully we can put them here next time. I'd like to know those companies and we can add them in. So I've told you there's more companies than just is listed here. So this is just a representative. Okay. Next. Yeah, just a reminder, you have to apply with our office so that your placement can be counted towards industrial training. If you go out and do your placement without us approving it, it wouldn't be counted towards the industrial training requirement. It's a good experience. You can put it in your resume, but your program requirement has to be approved by us before you start your placement, because we need to check, and there's what they call a will agreement, which has to be signed by the company first so that they can be counted towards industrial training. So remember that you have to submit first. Yeah, just like what I've mentioned, we always mention it in our workshops and also events like this, that you have to do your self-placement application with us first. Once you get your offer letter, you have to submit this application, and we have to approve it from start date to end date to be counted towards industrial training. If you are already in your placement, you have to submit as soon as possible, because we can count from your day of submission. So, but we cannot backdate placement. Yeah, there are certain, because it's a university procedure, there are certain insurance issues and all that we have to sort out before you can go out and do your placement. So we're trying to protect you as well. Are you can have a chat with us sometime if this is a concern for you. Okay, next. One of the things that is very important also for students after you do your placement is you get an employer evaluation form. So this employer evaluation form is helpful for you because they evaluate, the company can evaluate your performance, and it also is a good way for learning. So you will understand how you perform and maybe how you can improve in the future. And also when you do have those interviews, of course, after you finish your university degrees, you will go into interviews, and you can use those feedback that was provided to you in the employer evaluation form as part of how you can present yourself during interviews. So, yep, very important. Take advantage of this. And next. And of course, for you to complete your industrial training requirement, after you finish your 60 days, so it's not per placement, it's after 60 days, you have to do a final IT report. So this is your final assessment for you to complete the whole package of industrial training. And it's also great because you will understand how your technical tasks that you've done is relevant to your courses and relevant to Engineers Australia competencies. So you can also feel confident that what you've learned in the university, you've applied into your placement, and then also it's part of the competencies of Engineers Australia. And yep, I think that's the last slide. Next, please. So I know it's a lot of information to digest, and along the way there are so many questions, and we're happy to entertain them. As long as you contact us, we are able to guide you accordingly. But if you don't contact us, and then sometimes later on along the way you encounter problems, then it would be a bit hard for us, but we'll still work with you. But as early as now, we encourage, if you have any questions, any doubts, feel free to send us an email email ange.will@unsw.edu.au or book a virtual with us so we can have a discussion. So we're here to help you in every stage of industrial training. And next. Unfortunately, I want to stay the whole night, but it's a Friday night, so I have also a bit of other commitments. But I'm happy to accept questions. If you have questions now, I'm not sure if I can stay longer later. So, yeah, if you have questions now, please feel free to ask. Yep.
So regarding the report, we have to evaluate with the employer that we were working with as well, or it's just purely on our team?
So we do have the employer evaluation form. That is a requirement to finalize the placement. So that is per placement. So they will have to evaluate you. It's a form. So they fill it out, they put feedback, they rate you, and then they sign it off. So, and that's per placement. But for the final IT report, it's just one report, and you're the one who will write it. So it will be marked by an IT academic from your school. So the final IT report rubric is also found in the SharePoint site. So you can see how it is marked. So it has a total points of 25, and you have to get 18 points to pass. And there are 3 sections, A, B, and C, and each one of them it is explained in the rubric how you would be able to get the high marks. And don't worry, it's not going to be up. You don't get a fail in this one because it's a program requirement. So if ever you don't meet the 18 points, it will be returned to you for revision. And based on the feedback, you revise it, you resubmit until they're satisfied and you get a satisfactory mark. So no pressure. Just keep on submitting until they accept it. Yep. Anything else? I saw some hands there earlier. No? Oh, good. Okay, anyway, yeah.
What are some examples of a non-traditional placement?
Okay, that's a good question. We do have in the SharePoint site, if you go to our SharePoint site in stage 1 prepare, we have a whole list of non-traditional placements. And even today when we had a meeting, we updated it. We added for this week 2 more of them. And then we're expecting to add, I think, at least 2 more as well. So non-traditional placements are projects, student projects or university projects here in the university. So what we do is we talk with companies, and then some of those projects they want students to do. So and then we advertise them in our student portal. So for example, and not only with companies but also with certain clubs. Have you heard of Redback Racing? Yeah, Redback Racing can be counted 30 days for industrial training. We have Design Fly. We do have the CDEV courses can be counted towards industrial training. And just recently, if you've heard of VIP, have you heard of VIP? Some of those VIP, not all of them, so you have to check the non-traditional placement because we're looking into how relevant this is to engineering and all those certain checks. Are you supervised by a qualified engineer before we approve them? So if it's not listed in the non-traditional page, just and you are interested, maybe book a virtual with us and we can discuss. Yep. Anything else? Okay, anyway, you can always book a virtual, send us an email. Please, if you have questions, ask, okay? So I think that's it for me tonight, and we'll hear more about the presenters. They're the highlight for tonight. Thank you, and have a good night.
Thank you, Liza. That was really informative. We'll now welcome the presenters to the front. Could we all give them a round of applause?
So you can see a QR code on the screen here. So we've put them on every slide from now on. So throughout the presentations, if you have any questions but you don't want to put your hand up, You can fill out the anonymous form and then we'll address the questions towards the end.
Alright, so we'll now begin with some introductions.
Hi everyone, I'm Anastasia, and I've done 2 placements over my time at uni. So my first one was down in Tasmania. I was working at a smelter for Rio, and that went for about 20 weeks. And then my second placement was at a coal mine in Queensland, which I did over the past summer, and that was for Glencore.
Hi, my name is Greta. I did an internship at Ausgrid for 8 weeks. And yeah, I did like power system maintenance.
Hi everyone, my name's Sophia. I am currently interning at GHD. It's an engineering consulting firm. And I started it last December and I'm still doing it currently. Aside from that, I've done some electrical technician work as well as in SunSwift, which I will also be counting towards my industrial training. Thank you.
I'm Tash. I'm in my 4th year of electrical engineering and I did an internship at Telstra, and so it was the end of my 3rd year over the summer and it's still part-time at the moment. And yeah, I've been working as a network engineer there doing like network performance optimization. I'll start then. So I found out about the opportunity through the industry night from ELSOC's industry night, and I applied online. And I think they had like a series of video interview type questions and like some coding challenges to do. Does anyone else have something? Yeah, I can go.
So I was at Haymarket and I saw an ad on the side of the light rail for Glencore, and I applied that same night. So it was a bit of luck there. But generally you can sort of look on sites like Grad Connection or Prospel, and often opportunities are advertised there. My placement with Rio was through the co-op program, and so occasionally opportunities come up there for placements even if you aren't in the program itself, so that's one more place to look.
I got mine through a scholarship program, so I guess mine was more connections out of anything. But yeah, they also have openings for Ausgrid that come out at the end of the year, so yeah, you can apply that way as well.
Yeah, I applied via Prospel. I kind of just applied to a lot of like the firms that you saw on the screen before. Got rejected from a lot of them, but only one needs to come to stick. And yeah, I also had a coffee chat with I looked on the LinkedIn for the talent acquisition manager, had a coffee chat with her. And I guess that showed some interest as well. So yeah.
Alright, so the next question, how can we prepare once we have secured work?
Does anyone have a specific answer? Happy to start if not. Cool. So once you have the opportunity, it's really good to first reach out to the person who's hired you or your manager to ask them the question directly and see, just kind of ask preemptively, how do you expect me to be in this role? What does success look like? And if this isn't possible, do it the first day that you start your internship. It's very important that they know that you're interested in being the best you can in that role. Because of course, I'm sure everyone wants to be that in this room, but to let them know is very important as well as obviously revising any technical information that's relevant to your role.
I would also say not stalk, but find your managers and your like team members on LinkedIn. Before I started, I just added them all on LinkedIn just to have a connection, and just like see what their background is a little bit, just have a little bit of a swipe through. Yeah, I guess that's.
I probably say like the main piece of advice is to make sure that all the industrial training forms are all in and approved before you start, because you don't want to like lose any days of training that won't be counted. So I think that's important to make sure that's all in before you have your first day.
So I would say going in with an open mind and a good attitude is really good. You want to go in and be there to learn as much as you can and ask lots of questions. So I think doing a little bit of research about the industry that you're working in and the company too is very good. I think going in not knowing anything about what you'll actually be working with isn't necessarily bad, because they don't really expect you to know everything, but it puts you a bit on the wrong foot. So it's good to know if you're working at, say, Telstra, what a phone is and what Wi-Fi is, right? But yeah, I think don't go in and think that you need to know everything, because your managers won't expect you to, because you're second years or third years. So I think going in ready to learn and to work hard is really good. So both of my placements were based on site. So at the smelter and at the mine, I was working in an office, but the office was part of the larger site. So I had a desk with a computer, same as you would in any regular workplace. But then during the day, I would do work at my desk, and then I would go out and see what was actually happening on the site. So this could look like seeing a substation being maintained or a transformer being serviced, anything like that. Also on site, you get to kind of see things that aren't linked to your specific field. So I saw things that were sort of in the mechanical space and in the chemical space too, which was interesting.
Mine's like quite the opposite, because I had like maybe one site visit at the start just to see the exchange, but I'm mostly like in the office, or even they're very flexible for working from home as well. But yeah, so it's quite a different environment there.
Similar to you, I worked in an office basically the whole time. They did offer some like working from home. I think you're supposed to be in office 3 times a week, but I just went in every day because it wasn't too far. But then we did site visits as well. Yeah, that was basically how it was.
Yeah, similarly, I pretty much work in the office. I think in terms of culture, it's like 50-50 doing work and then talking to people, whether that's about work or just genuine networking and getting to know your colleagues, which is definitely a shock. I thought it would be more technical work, but people are very interested in communicating and talking to each other. And then site visits, they are a fantastic opportunity. I went on 2. One of them, I got to go on a plane to go to a solar farm, which was really fun. And even if you have to seek out opportunities to go on site visits to places, I would highly recommend that, because it really gives you a grasp on what's going on rather than just a diagram.
Can I have a follow-up question?
Yes.
So how different is the academic environment to the professional setting in a workplace? Did you have like a culture shock, or how did you feel towards it?
I think it's very interesting.
I think like for Ausgrid, it's quite like chill. It's not too like strict on, like it's not like you have to be really professional all the time. I think you think it's like really business, but it's not like too. We're all like engineers anyway, so we're all just kind of chill. But yeah, on top of that, it's kind of like a lot of it is just like really a lot of communicating with people, but also there's a lot of just independent work as well. So it's like that's a bit balanced as well. But yeah, and to add on before, I think to add on to your point, when I first went to Ausgrid, I talked to one of the grads, and he said, just talk to as many people at the office as you possibly can. Like, just make conversations with random people. He said he would just ask a random person, oh, what's your name? And ask him a question, just so that you can get to know everyone in different teams and what they do, and understand all the different roles you can do in a workplace as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think compared to like uni, I think there's a lot of, I thought they'd be more professional as well. There's a lot of meetings and sort of casual conversations as well. Yeah. You have anything to add? Yeah.
Something to add to that is electrical engineering at UNSW is so broad. Going from like 2133 to 2134, like you'll be doing like 10% of, or most likely of what you learn. There's microelectronics to power generation and larger scale things. So definitely use the time in uni to figure out what kind of electrical engineering that you like, so that you can go into the field and then actually build on that when you get there.
Okay, I'll start. So I think a lot of it was like you kind of show up and you're not really expected to know anything at all. Like, you kind of learn everything on the job. So I think the first at least like month or so, I was doing just a lot of like training to. I did a lot of like learning programming as well, because I didn't know much like about computer science. So I did a lot with that. And yeah, they really don't expect you to know everything, so I wouldn't be too stressed if you can't remember like the basics of electrical engineering from like Quad 1 or something. But yeah, so I think that like it's very different to what you do at university, but I think having that background and like the problem solving skills is very helpful as well.
So one thing about the sort of knowledge side of things that I would say, both my internships were working more in power. So I think having the knowledge of what the hardware and the equipment actually looks like on site was very helpful. Because when you see it in your courses, you see a circuit drawn on the page. But I think it's very different and informative to be able to go to site and see a transformer and see a switch yard and a substation and sort of get to understand how power is actually generated in practice. So I think, yeah, knowing about equipment and procedures, which is the stuff that you don't really get to see here at the university.
Yeah, I would add to that actually. Doing site visits kind of makes uni more interesting, because instead of just being like, oh, I got to do the maths or whatever, you actually kind of understand a bit more of like what the applications are. But also coming from like doing second year, doing an internship after second year, you don't really know that much anyway. So when you go and do your internship, they're not really expected, oh, do like a Fourier transform or something. So it's more like learning on the job and learning all the most like the practical things rather than all the theory. But yeah, in terms of skills, I feel like one of the biggest skills was kind of getting the confidence just to like talk to people who know a lot more than you in a field and your managers and stuff. So I think that's probably the biggest thing that you can learn probably.
Thanks. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And to add to it, it's, I think, looking at the biggest correlation between successful interns that I've seen in my cohort, it's responsiveness and communication, which is very far removed from actual technical skills that can actually be developed in the workplace. Looking, like having a conversation with your manager and they're talking about their home life or something in small talk and actually being engaged. Or if they tell you to do a task, you think, okay, cool, let's do it, and then do some background information and come back to them and say, hey, I did extra research on this, and really actually be interested, because that makes a lot of difference regardless of your understanding of the content. I think there's going to be a diverse range of challenges across here, but for me, if you work for any of the engineering consulting companies like Oricon, Orup, AECOM, WSP, GHD, it's the ability to get work works a little bit differently. So everyone's kind of doing their own thing and winning proposals and doing their timesheets and making sure their utilization's good. But it's your job in these companies to actually find work after a certain amount of time and communicate with your coworkers and ask them, hey, can I help you with something? Which is something they help you in the start, which is fantastic, but eventually you need to be able to stand up on your feet and actually communicate and think, okay, I see the gap here in a skill set or like the workplace, I can fill that. And yeah, that's definitely something that I found challenging because I needed to insert myself into jobs. But yeah, definitely would recommend working on that.
I think at Ausgrid, I mean, I was one of the first summer interns they brought back into the program, so it was very like rocky anyway. But there, like, you get put into a team so it's a little bit different where you get a project that you have to work on the whole time. But I think and you get assigned a manager, but I think the most challenging thing is actually managers are really busy and like they don't have a lot of time. So like getting like time with them is probably one of the most challenging things. But yeah, you just need to book meetings with them instead of like, oh, I'll just wait for them to come to me. Like you need to go to them, and like they can always like accept or deny meetings. So like if you book one and they deny it, don't like have a hissy fit, like it's fine. Yeah, just so that like, because their like schedules are like packed. So yeah.
Yeah, I think probably a big challenge for me was my manager would sometimes like tell me, oh, this person like in another team knows all this knowledge about something that I'm working on, like go reach out to them. And I thought it was like quite daunting to reach out to some of these people who are like often like higher up as well. And I think I found that really challenging, just like going out and reaching out to them. But I think also with practice, just like keep doing things like that, you kind of get more used to it, and like they're just people too, so it's not as scary as you think. But yeah.
So one challenge that I had was that both of my placements were outside of Sydney. So one of the things that I faced was having to move away from my friends and from my family for a longer period of time, which was a bit isolating at times. But I think having a good workplace with a team that works well with you is very helpful. So I wouldn't let that discourage people from going and trying placements that are outside of the city. I think another thing that you might face is that if your placement is quite short, you might feel like there's not enough time to make a big difference at the company, which is, I know that I felt like that over my most recent placement at the mine. So I think being able to talk to your manager and communicate well to ask for more work or ask for less work is a really good thing. Yeah, I think being able to communicate what it is that you want to do and how you need help is good.
Sounds good. So the final question before we have a short break. What were the key lessons you learned from your industrial training experience, and how do you plan to apply them?
I think generally just working in a team, setting up yourself within a company's systems, like everyone's saying, being able to ask questions is important. I think knowing a little bit more about what you actually want to do after you finish too. So getting some exposure to different kinds of workplaces and industries, and figuring out what you like and what you do well and where you want to go in the future.
Yeah, I think also just going in there, like you were saying before, with like a really positive attitude, and just going in there and saying, I want to like absorb everything I can and just like learn as much as I can while I'm here. Like even if it's a short placement, you end up learning like so much more in like the summer, like 2 months or something, than you would even in like your whole degree. Like, so I think just going in with a positive attitude is probably the most important thing.
Yeah, I feel like I can't stress enough about asking questions, because they are happy to answer questions. Just ask questions to everyone. Go and talk to as many people as you can in different fields. So like especially like companies like Ausgrid, GHG, like Telstra even, like there's so many different like things you can do. It's so broad. So just like talk to all different people with different positions and see what they do and what sparks your interest. But another one that I think is good is that if you've got a group of interns or a group of grads at your company, make friends with them, because you stick with them the whole time, and then you've got friends afterwards as well, that if you go back to the company or if you start the grad program, you like have them as like a common person that you've always got, and you can also ask the grads questions about how to get into the grad program or like all those sorts of things. But I also would take advantage of going and doing like lunches and stuff with colleagues. I think I wasted so much money on going to lunch every day, but it was really good because you just like, you actually get to know your colleagues on a more like casual and personal level as well. So yeah, I would recommend.
Yeah, definitely don't say no to a coffee chat. If someone's like, oh, do you want to grab coffee? Every single time say yes, especially if they're more experienced than you. And yeah, something that I definitely broad takeaway is put yourself out there. It's at the end of the intern program, if you're say doing a speech, be the one to present the most to, even if the colleagues are really high level managers, and even put yourself out there before even getting the internship. I think it's important to note that your employers value being like the confidence, as well as being able to do things that other people may not be willing to do. I think my employer, the biggest thing on my resume was being an electrician for like 6 months, and I was like, oh, no way that was the thing that like helped me do this. But yeah, definitely put yourself out there, and you never know where it will lead. Oh yes. That's true. Yeah. As an intern, they're kind of expecting you to make mistakes a little bit. So if you don't make mistakes, that's really good. But if you do, it's how you deal with that. It's not what you do, it's what you do next. So if they do get mad at you, just be reasonable and continue.
I also doubt your manager's going to get really mad in a way that you're going to feel like, because that's just not really appropriate in a workspace anyway to get that mad at someone who's inexperienced. So I doubt like it would get that bad that you'd feel like, yeah.
Yeah, in the perspective of industrial training office, we do have support if you feel like you are being harassed or bullied by any of your colleagues in the company or your host organization. You can always come to us, and we'll help you deal with it. And you're not alone. The university is gonna back you up. It's like part of, I think you have a training that you have to do before you did your placement. So one of that is included in there, the harassment and bullying. So you shouldn't accept it.
Cool.
Alright, so that'll conclude this round of Q&A. We'll have a short 5-minute break. After that, we'll answer some of your questions, and then we'll have some network.
Okay. That's done for this part. So then we come back. I didn't even need this. He needs that.
Oh yeah, right.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so that concludes our short break. We'll now do some more Q&A with some of your questions. The QR code is still at the top of the slide in case you want to keep asking more questions. Else, I'll hand the mic over.
Thank you.
The first question is, the person struggles to focus at uni, so are you expected to be fully concentrated throughout the entirety of your internship?
I think concentrating at work is definitely an interesting skill that like you get better at during your internship. It's kind of like going back to school in the way you have to show up at a certain time and you leave at a certain time, whereas uni is so much more candid. You can just come and go whenever you please. And concentrating I definitely found hard at the start. Genuinely, I just had a lot of coffee, and I think doing projects that are very material and that you know the direct outcome of definitely makes you a lot more focused. And also having your boss kind of look over your shoulder, being an open plan office, that definitely incentivizes concentration.
Completely understand this one. I have terrible concentration. Any noise distracts me. So, but I think, yeah, the fact that you kind of been stuck to a routine actually really helps with concentration anyway. So once you start working, it feels a bit better. And having people in the office, you kind of like just like it's like doing a study session together with your friends, because it feels like you actually have people who are concentrated next to you. And adults are much better, like old adults are much better at concentration than us, because you know. And but also, yeah, coffee breaks. But also I would say like just like the first thing that my like talent acquisition person said was like, you're not expected to sit at the computer from 8 to 5:30 or whatever your hours are just staring at the screen. So you can go for a walk or something if like you're feeling a bit like, you know, yeah. Also, I felt like the only times that I found it really hard to concentrate was when the office was empty and I just like would swing on my chair or whatever, like that, because I felt like there was no one watching. So when you have people in the office, it's a lot easier. But yeah.
Yeah, I think I found it really hard to concentrate in the office as well, but I think also working from home helps for me. Like I think I can get more in this focus zone when I'm working from home, like if I'm working on a particular task. But yeah, it's quite hard in the office because I don't know, there's like a lot of noise as well and like really bright lights, and so it's hard to concentrate. But yeah, going for like breaks with friends as well, and just like walking over to your friend and like just having a 5-minute chat or something to break up the day is definitely helpful.
Maybe if we give a range. Okay. Or we also don't have to say. Yeah.
Look, I'll give a range. It was about like a bit over a K a week, which included, but also for Ausgrid, it's a 9-day fortnight. So you have a Friday off. So when you actually and also we had 2 weeks off in the middle that were paid. So it actually calculates for a really good pay for Ausgrid, even though like the hourly doesn't seem as good. Yeah, because you have a lot of time off.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I get paid per hour, or most consultants, like interns, will get paid per hour in like the range of 30 to 40. And yeah, but I mean, it will definitely range depending on where you work.
For the next question, I think for a lot of people, imposter syndrome is quite big. So someone had asked, how do you deal with people that are like more skilled and a bit more, like, do you think that they're a bit better than you?
It's a bit funky because when you go into the workplace, everyone is better than you. Like literally everyone has had more experience, especially going in as an intern. So it's kind of disarming, and everyone knows that. So everyone's willing to help you. In a way, leveraging the fact that you don't know as much can be a blessing, and people are so willing to help you out. I think it would be abnormal to not have imposter syndrome. So feeling that and being like, okay, this is my own awareness of myself, the fact that I don't know as much as I think I should, and the curiosity to learn more, I think that's fine. That's so fine. And it definitely happens to everyone.
Yeah, this is a major one. It's one of the ones that if you do like an internship program where you have like a leader or someone overlooking, they will always talk to you about imposter syndrome before you get in there. So you do get a little bit of like ideas on how to deal with imposter syndrome. But I think one of the biggest things that helped me was just everyone's a human, like everyone's a person. Like they're not going to be like, oh, you know, looking down at you because whatever, like that's just mean. So, and if someone is like that, just go and talk to the next person. Like they're not all going to be like that. But yeah, genuinely just asking as many questions so you can get knowledge yourself kind of makes you feel like you're learning more and more, and that imposter syndrome kind of ends up like fizzling a bit. But also feeling part of the team, I think being liked is nice. So when you make conversations with people and talk about, I don't know, their kids or like what do they do on the weekend, you feel a bit more a part of a community. And oh, what's that? Or can you show me photos about this transformer or whatever else? Like you feel a bit more connected. I think that's connection is good.
Yeah, I think like you're definitely not expected to know like a lot at all. Like they treat you like you like don't know anything and you're like a blank slate. And so I feel like they try and make the environment really welcoming so you don't feel the imposter syndrome so much. At least that's what I've experienced a lot. Like everyone's very friendly. Yeah.
Also one thing is they've all been where you are before. Like they were all like uni students once before, so they all like understand what it feels like. And especially if you have younger people in the team, like grads or whatever, they completely understand as well. So talk to people like that as well. But yeah, everyone understands.
Yeah, cool. So for the next question, there's a few people who asked about the application process in terms of what were some things that you did to help yourself stand out with your resume, with your bio, or things like that?
I didn't do an application process, but from talking to we had to like talk to the acquisition team about it. They really like society presence, a lot, and co-curricular activities, and volunteering, and so not everything is about your wham and your mark. It might seem like it, but it's not. It's about what else you do, any additional activities. So do additional activities, put it on your resume, make it a highlight, or whatever work experience you have. Make that a big priority.
They just want to see that you're getting involved in things. Societies is a really good example. So they want to just make sure you're keen to learn or keen to interact with people as well. And yeah, so I think societies is a big one, or any sort of projects you have as well. Just showing your interest, I guess, is the main thing. Do you have anything?
So definitely try and make yourself stand out on the resume and application process. Like I said, by doing things that maybe other people aren't willing to do or that you might overlook. I know a bunch of VIPs are really good. They are super intrigued by that in the workplace. They're like, oh my gosh, you're working on something that's applicable in uni. That's awesome. The practical work is fantastic, as well as networking with the people who you want to work with. Cold applying is always harder than going into it with connections that are already there, and it will help you so much if you have already talked to people and then they look over your resume.
And what is something you regret not doing in your internships?
Interesting. I think
This is not that important, but once you finish your internship, you lose your work email. So just save everything that you've done, because I all my things that I did while at work, all photos or whatever, it didn't come across because I lost my work email. But when you get your work email back, if you go back, you get it again. But I don't know. I wish I did that, but.
Yeah, I think maybe with it being really flexible with working from home, I think going into the office is really important. I think we did that a lot, the intern program people went in a lot at the beginning, but sort of fizzled out a little bit. And I think if everyone was sort of going in, it would have made it a lot better to see everyone every day, that kind of.
I also have another one, is make the most of all your site visits. Don't just because it's if you get asked to do a site visit, just go, because they're really good and they're really informational and they're a bit of a field trip day. So just go, even if it's from a different team. And if you get if your boss gives or manager gives you an okay, just go, always do it.
Yeah, definitely. And to add to that, going on a coffee chat or asking to talk to someone who you think is way out of your league in terms of the workplace, not specifically the CEO, but if they're in your office, right, going up and talking to them and saying hi in the kitchen, you have to go to lunch every single day. So you may as well network during lunch with the people who are already in your office. You would go to industry night to network with these people, but if you're at the internship, you have access to everyone. So definitely would do more of that. I think a little bit. I honestly thought there would be much more technical work. This could be because it's consultancy, but there is so much bouncing around of different projects, from learning new software that's kind of outside the scope of electrical engineering to actually doing electrical engineering work and then learning what people in the industry do. There's so many discrepancies, so many things that I learned from there. Especially electrical engineers use CAD a lot, which I did not think. I thought only civil engineers use CAD. So yeah.
Yeah, I think similar, because coming from second year, I was oh, I know nothing, I'm going to struggle, and everyone else is going to be, because most people get, do internships after their third year. I was oh, I'm going to be really behind. But it wasn't like that at all. You get in there, you don't know anything, sure, whatever, doesn't matter. You just learn on the job, and, people will send you random videos of, things that interest them, just watch them or whatever, yeah, you learn most of everything on the job, and it actually helps with uni. I felt after that, uni became a bit more oh, I know what I'm doing a bit more now, because it feels like you apply your knowledge, if that makes sense. But yeah, so yeah, I think it's all also like the imposter syndrome is a bit of a misconception. Like you feel like you think that you're gonna feel like really like lower than everyone else, but everyone's just friendly. If you've got a good work environment, and that's what you should aim for, is a job that has a good work environment. If it's a bad work environment, I mean, you have to do it. So I guess just do it. But like, try and find a different company if you're doing something else, because you want to find a company where you like going to work every day.
Yeah, I think sort of the same thing, but also something else is that like I thought that once I'd like picked a team to work in, I'd sort of be stuck there like the whole time. But there's so much flexibility with like there's so many different teams that that are in the company. Like you wouldn't expect some of the teams that they have. Like there's just so many of them, and they give you so many options to like sort of pick what you like. Like at the moment I'm trying to pick something for my second rotation, and they just said to look through all the teams and just see what interests you. And I thought that was really good, because then I could pick something maybe more aligned to what I enjoy at uni as well.
I know you guys mentioned that you didn't use much of your technical knowledge from university, but what are some technical skills or like coursework that were actually applicable to your course?
I actually like can't think of much at all. I think having the background knowledge of everything was really important, and just like having some of the basics with electrical engineering and like some basic coding skills as well was really helpful, but nothing really that specific at all. Like I'm sure like it's very different with yours, but yeah, I can't really think of anything specific that was from a certain course. Just like a general like terminology, like that kind of thing is good to have.
Yeah, I think, I mean, to be fair, I'm in power, so I don't know, power triangle is good to know. Power factor, I guess. Capacitor, inductor, like just all that sort of stuff. But I think now, and also it was just, I had only done like second year and first year subjects, so you learn like minimal power stuff. But now doing energy, it actually is like, oh yeah, okay, I can see where the connection is. So I think if, like, depending on what you do, but energy is a good one to do for power, like, pay attention, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I think in the first couple of years, a lot of the stuff that you learn is like foundational, very exclusively. I found 2 and 3, 4 actually was very foundational for what I'm doing, but a lot of the courses in like elective courses in 3rd and 4th year are very indicative of the kinds of things you'll be able to apply to in an internship or in work actually. So that's going forward for me. Something I've really learnt is I want to be in power generation going forward, so I'm going to choose my electives based off of that. But if you wanted to work in the semiconductor space, then you'd choose electives based off of that though as well.
Okay, so we've touched a bit on skills and knowledge sort of questions. In terms of interpersonal questions, have you ever had to deal with a bad teammate or someone in the office, and how did you react to that?
Honestly, no, not really. I feel everyone who has gone through the application process of getting a job is very experienced. The worst thing you would get is like someone who's less responsive, so you have to go out of your way to make more connection, but I can't really touch on anything bad that's happened.
Yeah, same. I feel like everyone was really friendly. Like, sure, there were a couple annoying people, but like not really. Like everyone's just quite friendly, like, and willing to have a chat, and like, yeah, I don't know, not really.
Yeah, I don't think I've really experienced it either. I think everyone, especially in your work teams as well, everyone's just so experienced, and like everyone is so friendly as well. Yeah, I don't really have a bad experience with a team member. Yeah, do you want to start?
Sure. I was doing mostly maintenance with assets, so I looked at like assets on, you know, in your like placed on the field, which range from like, some of them are over 100 years old, so they're very old, but it was mostly looking at like when a asset is due to fail and trying to pinpoint when that is just about to fail, so you can replace it before it fails, but also not replace it too early. So I also did a little bit of like cash flow and like money sort of stuff, worked a lot on Excel, but yeah, I also, Ausgrid's trying to, we have these notifications, data stuff that like when something goes wrong or if there's a bit of maintenance being done on an asset, there'll be a notification on our system. And because the system is really old, the data is not that sorted, as I'm sure you've probably experienced before with these sorts of things. So they're trying to do a code to sort out all the data on the base. So I worked on that code a little bit as well, trying to figure out what keywords would be able to pick up and be able to categorize the notifications as well. Yeah.
For consulting, it's probably the type of job where you'll get the most broad experience on a lot of different projects. Some of the stuff that I've worked on are energy yield assessments, which is basically for a private equity company telling them how much money they can make on a power generation source, to owners, engineers, solar farms, where you're actually the ones who are responsible for everything from start to end, technical and logistics. Of course, as an intern, I'm not the one building the actual solar farm. I'm doing the dial before you dig things, or helping with, again, data analysis, but it's really good to see the scope.
I think a lot of the work I've done in my team, and it's very different even for like some of the other interns I work with, even have extremely different experiences to me. But mine is a lot of data analytics and sort of building dashboards. So a lot of it's trying to get more visibility of the network, and just sort of building nice visualizations so that like higher up people can sort of look over it quickly and see if there's any problems with the network, and like flag that. Yeah.
About that, if you're doing data analytics, will they just know that you're doing some computer science work instead of electrical? Then they won't accept your industrial training.
No, I don't think so. Oh, do you want to?
Yeah, I actually, when I put my job description through, they didn't actually put it through straight away, even though I'm working at Ausgrid, which is an electrical company. But what they'll give you is this like paper that's like, it's actually kind of tedious, but you're like, this is the course, this is how I, like how it applies to my work, and then whatever, like these are the dot points that you had to learn in the course, and then how it applied to your work. So there are ways to like, you kind of just show how it applies, and then it went through. So I don't know if you've had the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did 1511 and then 2134. Like you just put them in and then say, oh, like this is how it applies. Also, you just say like you're working at Telstra, right? So if it was at Telstra, like you know what people do in your workplace. So for me, I said, oh, I'm doing like a lot of data stuff, but it has to do with like I did site visits, and it has to do with I'm looking at transformers, or like looking at the asset and like how the mechanical part of it works versus whatever. So like you're still learning on the job, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's with the actual approval part, right, is what you're talking about. Yeah, I think they said as long as you've got your manager is like an engineer, they had to have like an engineering degree, and then your team is doing some, like, even if it's data analysis, it's still like engineering, because they're like building the dashboards and looking at like network devices as well. So there's a lot of engineering in that. Yeah. So as long as it's like, yeah, related. Yeah. I probably do maybe more than you guys. Yeah. Well, because I didn't really like coding even like in like first year when we had to do it. But like I think once you're kind of doing it with a reason, like so I learn't a lot on the job. They did a lot of training courses. And then once you're actually like doing something with it, I think I enjoyed it a lot more. And I probably, you don't do like too much. It really depends on like where you're working, but I'd probably say like maybe half of mine is coding.
Yeah, I haven't done a lot of coding. I think the most was like Excel, which is like, kind of self-explanatory. Other than that, like the code that I sort of did was just mostly learning from people who actually could code. So I feel like I didn't do much coding. I just looked at it, I guess.
So valid. I had to go out of my way to do coding. There's pretty much no coding at engineering consulting firms, but they love AI. If you say you know how to do AI, they're like, oh my gosh, we'll give you money. So I did this project that I kind of self-ran where I'm figuring out how to analyze large sets of data using an API, but I have to use Python as well, which I didn't learn in uni, but it's fine, you can just figure it out. But yeah, I think I would recommend putting AI into whatever you do, taking initiative, but yeah. They really love AI.
Yeah.
They love AI.
It works well.
Are there any other questions? Okay, could we invite, so thank you so much, that concludes the Q&A. Could we invite our president to give sort of a concluding remarks?
Hello? Hello? Oh, thank you everyone for coming to ELSOC's annual industrial training night. I'd just like to thank our panelists, Sophia, Greta, Tash, and Anastasia, and Lizelle as well from UNSW Industrial Training. I'd also like to thank the industry portfolio headed by Jerry, directors Ashia and Connie, and then subcom Tim, Kush, Savannah, and Timothy. Oh, that was close. James, I looked at you, sorry. Yeah, thank you all for coming. I'll hand over to Ashia.
All right, so we'll just take one photo. So we'll take one final photo. After that, we'll have a bit of networking, and there's some catering outside as well.